Greetings, and welcome to SpinalTap Horror. Here at the asylum, we're dedicated to bringing you the most hair-raising tales that send shivers down your spine. So please, sit back, relax, and count backwards from 10. The operation is about to begin.
Welcome, listeners. You're probably wondering why you're here. Well, don't worry. It'll all be made clear soon enough. And make sure to stay till the end of the episode for a very special announcement. Now, as to why you're here. It seems you've been experiencing some dissociative identity disorder, or DID for short. Your love for entertainment has made it difficult for you to discern reality from fiction. And well, it led you to do some pretty terrible things. But don't worry, because tonight we have 3 doses of similar cases that will hopefully help bring your mental state back to normal, or whatever normal is. And don't be scared. Our staff tonight is more than qualified to take care of you. Take our first story's writer, for example, Miss Mnemosyne. I'm proud to say that they have, as of recently, become a published author, and I couldn't be more thrilled for them. And as for their story tonight, we follow 2 lovers on their journey through the years, repeated first encounters, but a connection that can never be severed. A lover destined for fame, and the other that would do anything to help them achieve it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime. She was a throwback, mimicking the 60s hippie look with aplomb. Her guitar had a peace sign painted on the face, and her outfit was impeccable. From the fringed jacket to her bell-bottoms, a Hollywood customer could have put it together. Or more likely, she had gotten exceptionally lucky at a garage sale. The music matched too. A little Carole King, a little Lennon. A few songs I suspected were original. I knew as soon as she started to play that she was playing for me. The whole coffee shop knew it too. I caught the glances of a few jealous men even though I couldn't tear my eyes away from her. She was blue and blonde and strange. The best imitation of another time I had ever seen. I saw her, and she saw me. And it was clear that I would be the man to kill her dead. Her first death, she whispered to me later in my apartment, was 1968. She insisted on making love, said that would be that much more salacious if she was murdered by a lover. I could see the logic. Fame was all she ever wanted. It could be for music, or for her beauty, or for the deplorable condition her moldering corpse showed up in, just so long as it made the headlines. Being dumped in the California Gulch and never again disturbed didn't do it for her. I've killed her 100 times. I love her. I hate her. I'll kill her 100 more until the news sniffs a sensational story and makes her a celebrity. The lovely songbird choked to death by her jealous part-time lover. I took the razor to her, and then the saw. I'll do it again and again until I get it right. She just keeps showing up, meeting me in a coffee shop, or a bus terminal, or at work for the first time, for the 100th time. She pretends not to know me, but I see the recognition in her eyes. I know her by now. I know her better than I know myself. I know the way she chokes and gasps, the scent of her awful. I smell the impending death on her, and she meets me over and again, ready to die, for the love of the public. Wasn't that beautiful? Now that's a love that'll last for an eternity. Come to think of it, that story did remind me of an infamous murder scene back in the day, but I can't quite place my finger on it. Maybe the characters in our next story could help me figure it out. Written by an alluring figure that simply goes by the name of Roy. They tell us a tale of a detective following a case of some grisly murders. But not just any murders, but ones that seem to be influenced by Hollywood blockbusters and carried out by someone that would do anything to please their audience. This is The Killer Who Recreated Horror Movies in My Town. I've been a cop in this town for over a decade. I thought I'd seen everything. Domestic disputes, overdoses, even a couple of homicides. But nothing prepared me for what happened this summer. It all started when we found a body behind the old theater. The victim's chest was slashed open, blood pooling on the asphalt. His arms were pinned out, body arranged like a crucifix, exactly like the scene from The Exorcist. At first we thought it was some deranged mugging gone wrong, until the next one happened. A week later, a woman was found in her bathtub, wrists slit, lungs full of water. A portable TV on the counter played only static, and a VHS copy of Nightmare on Elm Street floated in the bloody bathwater. That's when the whispers started. Movies. Horror movies. And they were right. Every new crime mirrored a scene from a slasher classic. Victims strung up like in Texas Chainsaw, throats slit like in Scream. One poor guy even got stuffed in a sleeping bag and beaten against a tree until his skull caved in, just like in Friday the 13th, Part 7. But it wasn't just killing. It was directing. Each scene staged, angles perfect, props chosen with sick precision, like someone was making a movie. The town fell into chaos. Parents kept their kids home. Theaters shut down. Some folks even burned their DVD collections, saying horror was cursing us. But the murders didn't stop. And then I noticed something. Every scene had a camera, hidden in corners, always rolling. Whoever was doing this wasn't just reenacting. They were filming. We got our break on a stormy night. An anonymous tip led us to an abandoned warehouse. Inside, the walls were covered in movie posters, blood-stained scripts, and storyboards drawn in red marker. A tripod stood in the middle, camera still rolling. And on the monitor, footage of the murders. Cut, edited, and scored with music. It wasn't tapes of the crime scene. It was a film. And then I saw his face. Not in person. Not yet. But one of his behind-the-scenes clips. A local kid, early 20s. I knew him instantly. He ran a small YouTube channel where he reviewed horror movies, barely 100 views per video. But he found a way to make his content stand out. When we caught him, he didn't resist. He just grinned and said, "They don't want reviews anymore. They want realism. They wanted authentic horror. I gave it to them, and they loved it." His hands dripped dry blood, knife dangling from his grip. He leaned in close before we dragged him away and whispered, "This isn't the finale, officer. This is the first season." That laugh hasn't left my head. Because last night, a brand new video dropped on his channel. New murders. Perfectly edited. Scenes we never found. Crimes we never reported. But the timestamp says uploaded today. He's been locked in his cell for a week. So tell me, who's filming? Well, I guess that's one way to make a name for yourself. But you know what they say, that's showbiz. Which brings us to our final story, written by Bernhard Mendoza. We accompany someone to a night at the theater, a wonderful place to be entertained and let your imagination roam free. But what happens when the things on screen end up roaming free as well? So grab your popcorn and find your seats at the Theater of Shadows. The flickering lights of the movie theater cast eerie shadows across the empty seats. Young Jake had always loved the thrill of a good horror film. But tonight, his excitement turned to dread as he settled into his seat, the smell of fresh popcorn wafting through the air. The movie was a blockbuster, and Jake was eager to see it. But as the opening credits rolled, his eyes grew heavy. The rhythm of the film's music lulled him into a deep, dreamless sleep. When Jake awoke, the screen was blank, and the theater was silent. He blinked, trying to shake off the grogginess, and looked around. The theater was empty. The exit sign seemed to glow with an ominous red hue. He stood up, his heart pounding, and made his way towards the exit. As he pushed open the door, a gust of cold air greeted him, and he found himself back in the theater, the door slamming shut behind him. Panic surged through Jake's veins as he realized he was trapped. He tried every exit, but each time, he found himself back in the same seat, the popcorn bucket still warm in his lap. The theater, once a place of entertainment, now felt like a prison of his worst nightmares. As the minutes ticked by, Jake began to see things. Shadows danced at the edges of his vision, and whispers echoed from the empty seats. He saw his fears take form. A monster lurking in the darkness, a clown with a sinister grin, and a figure in a tattered dress, its face obscured by long, matted hair. Each apparition chased him, forcing him to run from one end of the theater to the other, his breaths coming in ragged gasps. Jake's mind spiraled into chaos as he realized he was not alone. The theater was alive with his fears, and they were closing in on him. He tried to scream, but his voice caught in his throat and stumbled back to his seat, his hands gripping the armrests until his knuckles turned white. As the night wore on, Jake's struggles became weaker, and his cries for help faded into whimpers. The theater seemed to swallow his screams, and the popcorn bucket, once a symbol of joy, now felt like a weight on his lap, a reminder of the world outside that he could no longer reach. When the first rays of dawn broke through the theater's windows, Jake was found slumped in his seat. His eyes rolled back, foam dripping from his mouth. His hands still rested in the popcorn bucket, the kernels now cold and stale. The theater, once a place of dreams, had become a nightmare from which there was no escape. The question remained, what really happened to Jake in the theater? And who, or what, had left him in such a terrifying state? The mystery lingered, a haunting reminder of the horrors that can lurk in the shadows of our minds. Now, I really do hope those stories were enough to bring you back to the right mental state. Do you see what could have happened if we let your imagination and your love for entertainment take over? No? Well, we'll just have to try and remedy that another time now, won't we? It just so happens that we'll be having a couple longer sessions coming up soon. Please join me this Halloween season for 2 nights of frightful fun stories. That's right. This Hallows Eve and Halloween, I'll be reading you 11 scary short stories filled with hauntings, urban legends, terrifying traditions, and the wonders of trick-or-treating. All leading up to our 12th and final story, written by Brian Martinez. His classic tale, Treats, that should make for a lovely Halloween season. Now get some rest. I'll be back in a couple of weeks to see how you're doing. And thank you all for listening. I've been your host and narrator, Ryan Blue. If you like what you heard here today, please consider leaving a 5-star review and a comment down below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and consider leaving a like and pressing that bell notification so you don't miss out on future episodes. Remember, you can find SpinalTap Horror on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You can also follow me on social media at SKZombieCorpse to see everything else I tend to dig my hands into. If you have a story you'd like to share with us for consideration, you can post it to our subreddit at r/SpinalTapHorror or email us at SpinalTapHorrorPod@gmail.com. All stories in tonight's episodes were adapted and performed with the written consent of the story's authors. All music featured with said stories can be found for free of use on Pixabay.com. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you for the next operation.